Oh, that's like I said, it gets more expensive as they get older.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hello.
Hi.
Let's see, we have quorum. We're just missing Commissioner Arison, right?
Yes.
All right, well then, go ahead and call the meeting to order anyway, and hopefully, is he joining us tonight or no? Not sure.
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right, I will call this meeting of the City of San Fernando Transportation and Safety Commission to order at 7:03 p.m.
Chair Nicole Moore,
Present.
Vice Chair Clarissa Tolentino,
Present.
Commissioner D. Aikman,
President?
Commissioner Francisco Arizon is absent, and Commissioner Rudy Trujillo.
Present.
All right, next is the Pledge of Allegiance. There is our flag. Let's right hand over our hearts. Ready, begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First on our agenda this evening, we have approval of our November minutes. Thank you again for getting those to us so promptly. They were actually very helpful. And then new business, crosswalk concern at San Fernando and Lazard. That was our public comment from last meeting that we've agendized. And then our continued business discussion of an unlicensed driver program, the parking study update, commission communication, staff communication. We're going to get a project update on Glen Oaks. And then we shall adjourn. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion
Yes.
to approve the.
All right, Commissioner Arizon has joined us. I think it's 7:04. Commissioner Arizon motions to approve the agenda.
And I would like to second that.
Thank you. Commissioner Trujillo would like to second.
Chair Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tolentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Aikman,
Yes.
Commissioner Arizon,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
All right, are there any public comments?
No public. We don't have any public comments.
No public comments this evening. The next item of business is our minutes from our November 4th meeting. Did everyone have an opportunity to look at those?
Yes.
Yes.
Wonderful. Were there any corrections or adjustments or questions of clarification on the minutes?
None that I see.
All right.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Yes, I would like to make a
Motion
motion.
All right, Commissioner
Okay.
Trujillo. And a second?
I think Commissioner Arizon did.
And Commissioner Arizon, seconds?
Yes.
All right, we have to roll call that too, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Chair Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tolentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Aikman,
Yes.
Commissioner Arizon,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
All right, with that, our minutes are approved. And we are moving on to new business. So I am so happy that Sergeant Aguirre is here and is able to provide us some more information. We had discussed at the last meeting, we had not discussed because we're not allowed to discuss yet, but we had a concern from the public about the crosswalk at San Fernando Road and Lazard Street being a site of what the public said were possible near misses for accidents. And so that was the concern that was brought forward. Maria, do I have the ability to share my screen? Okay, so this is the intersection that we were discussing. And the public comments, I believe, came from someone who works at this clinic right here. Maria, do I have the ability to share my screen? I'm echoing. And then this is the crosswalk that is here, but it seems that people don't always stop for it. That many of the people park over here and then cross over here to this clinic. Came from someone who works at this clinic right here. I'll stop sharing now.
If I may comment on that, Chair.
Yeah, go ahead.
The issue is, I believe, is the speed factor. Coming in from Silmar, they're usually speeding pretty fast. And by the time they roll up on that crosswalk, there's no some kind of light or indicator from Hubbard because they, the other night, I always go out to Santa Clarita for whatever reason. And I realized, and I've always seen that, is that there's just too much speeders coming from the other side of Hubbard and into that intersection. And then when they're leaving San Fernando, it's the same scenario, the speed issue. So I don't know if that's something where we could put some kind of blinkers or lighting or something, even though that crosswalk is painted white. From a distance, I think oncoming traffic from Silmar, I think maybe some kind of indicator may be helpful. At least a light, a blinker, those kind where they usually push them when they're about to cross. So that's just something that I would like to interject on that, because I'm through there a lot, which most of us probably are, but I think that's an issue, because as soon as it gets dark, forget about it. It's just too dark. You can't see people crossing.
Chair Moore, I just wanted to jump in real quick. Manuel did have a chance to reach out to our traffic engineering consultant to take a look at this intersection, and he's going to report to the commission on some of the recommendations that were made by our traffic engineering consultant. And he can also share his, he was planning on sharing his Google Maps to kind of walk through those recommendations that we currently have, so that we can have a discussion and get recommendations on moving forward with the next steps.
Wonderful. I assumed that there would be expert voices. Thank you so much, Manuel.
All right, so as Matt mentioned.
Manuel, you're on mute right now.
All right. Sorry about that. All right, so as Matt mentioned, we did reach out to our city engineer, traffic engineer, for him to review the intersection. According to his findings, there were no pedestrian TAs, but there were recommendations that he made. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this is the intersection in question. We do have the crosswalk there with a couple of signs, one of them being this one here, pedestrians cross here, and an additional sign further up, pedestrian crossing ahead. What he is recommending is that in addition to these signs, we add pavement markers in this area stating pedestrian crossing, which is the PED XING pavement markers that are used. In addition, we're going to install signs on the back of this pole so that the signs are back to back, or that's the recommendation that he's making. Give me 1 second. This is an old image of that intersection on the aerial, unfortunately. But the recommendation is also to install yield here to pedestrian sign along with arrows approximately 50 feet from the crosswalk on this side So it would be about here. And then on this side here, so the vehicles will be encouraged to stop ahead of the crosswalk and free pedestrians of any incidents. We also are looking into putting reflective markers across on each leg of the crosswalk. I believe there are similar ones down the street. I'll show you those right now. Similar to these right here on both sides. In addition, he is recommending that we extend the red curb here to 50 feet on the east side for visibility purposes. That's going to trigger us to make contact with the businesses in the area as their parking may be affected. We will also be checking with our community development to look on any parking requirements that business need to maintain before we move forward. We want to make sure that everybody is aware of our proposed plans and in order for us to move forward with the enhancements at the intersection. You guys have any questions?
50 feet, that reduces like what would be potentially like 2 or 3 cars parking?
It would be about here, so it's already red, about 25 feet, so it'd probably be an additional 2 parking stalls on this end. And then on this side, probably about 3.
What's the potential cost of these adjustments?
We haven't looked into that, but we will definitely do our research as far as that.
And does this require a motion from us on any of our recommendations?
We would like to hear if you have any recommendations or if you're okay with what's been presented by our traffic engineer.
I do have a question, if I may, Chair.
Mm-hmm.
You know that I think from my perspective is just that from a distance at night is just, you know, indicators, flashers. Are those reflectors? Do they light up pretty good? Say for if you're coming from Hubbard and you're starting to pick up rapid speed and all that, you know, that's been my main concern there. Are those pretty good where they really light up as soon as the headlights hit it? Is that how those things work? Or are they already, you know, have that reflective nature to it as it begins to get dark?
So the raised pavement markers have a reflective front to it. It's almost like when you're driving on the freeway. You see the different lanes, and you see those reflectives up there. Pretty much it's white in color, and as the headlights hit it at a certain angle, you can see the reflection on there. They're not lighted up in any way other than by the headlights of a vehicle.
I do understand the lights that Commissioner Trujillo is speaking about, the kinds that like light up on the street. However, I feel like that those seem to be of greater import in areas where there's a lot of night activity. And it sounds like from the reports that we're getting and the things in the area, like typically you don't see car washes active at night. You typically, you know, the health clinic is going to be closed at the night time. Like this doesn't seem like an area that would be super busy at night. And when I've driven past there at night, I don't feel like that's a very bustling area. It's not like downtown San Fernando where there are a lot of people out and about and shopping and, walking back and forth between restaurants and stuff. And I'm sure that that would possibly be cost prohibitive. And I don't want to recommend something to city council that seems super cost prohibitive especially when we're in a crisis right now. I guess one of my concerns, Sergeant Aguirre, maybe you could, I don't know if you'd have any knowledge of what code enforcement looks like there. Do we typically have issues with street parking problems there? Or the only thing I'm concerned about is like taking away 50 feet on both sides when the person's saying that people often park across the street in that parking lot already. It sounds like maybe that is an issue. I don't know.
No, we don't get a lot of parking complaints there. Much more of the complaint in that particular area is with regard to through traffic with speeders and things like that. Because there is allocated parking for some of the businesses. There's that big parking lot there. And then there's also side street parking. So we don't get a lot of complaints there in general. And most of the violations that we do get are things like red zone or fire hydrant violations. Obviously, losing even one space is going to be of concern to some businesses, but I guess it's up to the commission and to the city council to decide the cost benefit analysis there in terms of losing a few spaces to make that crosswalk safer.
I think then that the traffic engineer's recommendations all sound really valuable. And if anybody has any other comments that they want to add, if not, then I would make a motion to accept the traffic engineer's recommendations and that we recommend to city council. Yeah, Vice Chair Tolentino?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I did think the flashers would be a good idea. Because I know right here we have them on brand where when somebody's gonna cross, they just press the button and they start flashing. And then when you mentioned, okay, but that's not a very it's not very busy at night, but like right now with daylight savings, I know that the sun's it's already dark out by 5 o'clock, right? So maybe somebody might be leaving the clinic, somebody might be leaving the car wash or any other business. So just for safety on that end also, I feel like that would be a good idea. But also I don't want to, recommend something that would be like really costly for the city. So there's a lot to take into consideration.
Yeah, I was thinking about the fact that those are usually associated. I walk in that area that you just mentioned down on Brand a lot. And normally when I walk, it's daytime, but like you said, it's so, dark early now. But I was thinking about the fact that those are usually where there's a light. And there's not a light there already. So that would mean, installing electrical infrastructure, which I just don't think is necessarily a huge priority when it's not an area that's had a number of incidences yet. So I think that city council might see that as, especially there's no way that this is going to get in front of the current city council. This is going to obviously end up in front of a brand new city council. So I would rather be as conservative with our recommendations as possible.
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, Commissioner.
Like fellow commissioner just mentioned, there is a clinic right there, and the workers either park inside or they park outside, and the patients as well will park across the street. I myself have gone in that area for functions and for that center next door where next door to the car wash where they have events and stuff, and that would go up to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And actually, that's something that's not happening right now. But I do agree that street people like to punch on the accelerator from Hubbard to through the mall. If it wasn't that the street was small in the mall, they would probably speed through there as well. But let's err in the side of caution. I know it may be a little more expensive, but this isn't the first time it's brought up. It's been brought up since I've been here 2-3 times, and for one reason or another, we haven't really addressed it in the manner that we're trying to do right now. So I wouldn't like to miss the opportunity to put an indicator there where you would press the button. If it's busy, you press the button, you go across safely. But that's just my observation there. Thank you.
My main concern is not so much that this is a missed opportunity as so much that it would be overkill. I have watched the city's budget meetings when Mr. Kimball leads the budget meetings and it talks about our various, projects and how much they're costing and everything. There's not a lot of wiggle room. And I don't want to ask city council for something that is the most excessive in terms of the most expensive interventions that we can ask for before trying things that are a little more cost effective first. Because if we were to try something like asking them to take the recommendations for the reflectors, the additional white markings of pedestrian crossing here, an additional signage, if anything, maybe even a lighted sign, because a lighted sign, I just looked it up right now, costs like $3,000 approximately. That's just random Google, but versus if, we're digging up a street to install electrical infrastructure and buttons and things like that, I think that then we're getting up there in cost and what we're asking for. So I would prefer with a new city council, a tough budget, this not knowing what the California state's budget for next year is going to look like, but that all of the assembly people have said that the word that they're getting is that it's going to be significantly rolled back. So I would prefer to err on the side of caution. And then if the clinic says that it's not helping, that they still need to do more, then we could ask for a light. We could ask for lighted crosswalks. But I think, you have to start with at least the things that they're saying could be done minimally. Well, we can vote. I suppose we can vote on it and see which way the wind blows.
I have a quick question. Have they considered speed bumps? I know it would be a very awkward area to put a speed bump, but if they're very concerned about the intersection and the pedestrians, what if they put like a speed bump? Maybe that would help slow down.
I don't think they can.
Yeah, that's too big of an
No,
area.
you can't.
Right?
No,
Yeah.
through thorough pathways, speed bumps are not allowed.
Oh,
Not in those kind of streets.
I think that's
Through
maybe called a vein, an
state
artery.
regulation, absolutely not.
okay. I mean, I feel like the reflector should work. It's just a matter of people obeying the signs and what they stand for. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see how they work.
But maybe a few tickets might slow it down.
Right, like how sometimes they have the speed radar. It's like that tall white thing that monitors people's speed. I don't know if they even pay attention to that anymore.
I know, right?
Will they? I mean, it's worth a shot, I think.
There's one downtown, right? Is it
Right, I think so.
Well,
They
something
still move those around
I would
every
love
so
to-
often. I'm sorry.
That's all
Sorry
right.
about that, Chair. Yeah, so because they had put one on Brand for a while, and so they do have a tendency to move around, just kind of like to bring more of awareness to, make sure that people know how fast they're going as far as coming into the area. So I know that they had it over at Brand for a little bit. I think it was on Brand. I can't remember if it was either the mileage indicator, or it was actually a patrol unit that was stationed over there for a little bit.
Pretty sure it's a permanent one. It's right by the police station. I would love Sergeant Aguirre's expertise on this one. Sergeant Aguirre, if you were to make the motion, what would you motion?
Well, Madam Chair, as you know, it's not in my purview to move on such things. I think Mr. Fabian brought up an excellent point to consider for the commission, and that is, while we are getting some concerns and some feedback, there are not any reported injury traffic collisions in that particular crosswalk, at least for a significant length of time. And I think that's certainly something for the commission to undertake as you discuss this, is the incidence of actual injury traffic collisions. That should always be a driving concern for this particular commission. Another thing to address just briefly, as Commissioner Trujillo mentioned, is we do move that radar trailer. It is a mobile trailer, and it does have a radar in it that displays the vehicle's approaching vehicle speed. We have deployed it in that specific area from time to time at the request of this commission. It is demonstrated to slow traffic overall. Obviously, it doesn't work for every driver and for every vehicle, but it does have the net effect of slowing traffic. And like Commissioner Trujillo mentioned, raising awareness of vehicle speed. Oftentimes when we do speed enforcement, drivers will admit they weren't aware of their speed, or they weren't aware of the speed limit on the roadway in which they were stopped. So those radar trailers are effective, and we do deploy them to the places where we get the most complaints, which is why you've seen them on South Brand Boulevard, you've seen them on San Fernando Road, and a few other places like that. That said, I don't know that I would undertake the work of the commission in recommending motions and things of that nature, but I think certainly the discussion is a valid one.
Well, I'm going to place a motion on the floor, and y'all can consider my motion. If it votes down, we'll vote for a new one. I would like to motion that we recommend to City Council to take the city traffic engineer's recommendations as they have been listed, and that they consider taking these improvements and working on them as expeditiously as possible.
If you're making that motion, I would like to second that.
Okay, let's vote.
Chair Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tolentino, Commissioner Aikman,
Yes.
Commissioner Arizon,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries. We will make that recommendation to City Council. Would it be possible to have that recommended, presented at the next meeting, or will it'll be January, right?
Yeah, we could try. We need to do a little bit of research and also outreach to the businesses regarding the red curbs. So then during the holidays and stuff like that, so we might not quite have it ready for the January meeting. If not, we would have it for the February meeting.
And it's like going to be an almost new council, so
It's going to be a new council as of the next meeting. So
much. So if you all could let me know when that's being agendized, I would love to be there.
absolutely, yeah, we'll definitely keep you up to date on that.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, moving on to our next item. Our next item is our continued business. I had agendized last month the possibility of the city supporting a program to reduce unlicensed drivers. And I was very pleased to see that we've added some resources onto our website about how to quickly find resources to get your license. If they're looking for a business license, they can also find how to get their license, their driver's license. Also, in prior conversations that I had had with Sergeant Aguirre, he had mentioned some outreach to discuss the importance of getting your license as well as the process. That he had pre-COVID arranged to do some things with CCLA. And I was really hoping that in this odd day of Zoom, we could possibly host a community forum about how one gets one's driver's license, especially during the time of COVID. So that is something that I had been hoping that we could do in conjunction with the police department. Sergeant Aguirre, what say you?
I think it's certainly a worthwhile outreach endeavor. I think anything that you can do to inform the public is, in terms of driver safety and adherence to state and local regulations, is always going to be time well spent. I think in this particular climate, there are a number of ways to go about doing that. We can host virtual meetings, and we can certainly present information. And then we can direct traffic to city resources as well, to the police department itself, to the police department's website, and certainly to the city's website. And I can probably get whatever printed materials would support that. As you know, the police department has operated for a number of years on grants from the Office of Traffic Safety. And while there's not specifically money allocated for this, there is a small amount of money allocated for community education. And this certainly would fall under that provision of the OTS grant. So we could do that with a little bit of that funding from the OTS grant for this particular grant cycle. And anything that's not covered by that, we could certainly, fill in those gaps as far as education and training. One thing for the commission to be aware of is we just, as it happens, have a number of DMV employees who are reserve police officers here. And they're all investigators. They're on the law enforcement side of DMV, but they have a number of additional resources that could come directly from DMV as far as pamphlets and educational materials. And I'm sure if you wanted to do a presentation or some sort of lecture on the process of going about getting a license, we could do that probably in both English and Spanish.
I would absolutely love to pursue that. Perhaps you could do some looking into who in the department would be interested in assisting, and I will contact you about that.
Yeah, of course. I have, as you all know, I have a team of dedicated traffic officers. It is an ancillary duty for each of those officers, but that's probably something I would like to get some of my sort of supervisory officers involved in. Maybe Detective Torres, who helps supervise the traffic unit, could help put together a presentation, and then I'll reach out to Reserve Officer Abilio Lopez, who is a DMV employee, for some of those additional resources.
Right. I had thought about the possibility of forming an ad hoc for this, but it seems like a short-term thing, so I don't know. And I'm happy to work on it with Sergeant Aguirre and the police department myself. If anybody else had wanted to, then I think we have to form an ad hoc. But yeah, I think otherwise, I'm happy to work on it unless there are any other objections, comments, questions.
No, I do have one comment. That's a great program, especially, as you well know, working with youth. I think that's one of the challenges that we do see. A lot of youth that are anxious to get on the road. Unfortunately, we have some youth that, already picking up citations, driving without license, driving without insurance, having their cars impounded. So anything we could do to remove that stress from these youngsters, at least only because I deal with youngsters, as some of you do also, but great. Anything I could do to support it. Thank you so much for bringing that program.
And, even though it's a strange time, I feel like in some ways it might be an ideal time because all of the teenagers have access to devices through school. Even Los Angeles Mission College has been giving out laptops. And so many of them have access to devices now and have gotten so much more comfortable with Zoom, and we might be able to get a wider reach than we would at individual schools or on a single evening, perhaps. And I think that in that way, it could be, especially because people are, some people are sitting around a little bit bored and antsy and talking to students about how to take a step towards further freedom. They might be more willing to fly the coop and grab that license now than they would at other times. And I think it's also, as Commissioner Trujillo said, I think they just don't realize the risk. I think that they don't know. I think they think if they get pulled over that they'll get a slap on the wrist, but it ends up being a pretty painful slap on the wrist when you get your car impounded. So I think that if we can just raise awareness, that we can hopefully make an impact. So I think I will continue working on this. If we can I don't think it needs to be agendized for January, but I'd like to see if we could try to put something together for like February or March. So let's put it back on the agenda in February. And that gives us some time to look into it. All right, let's move on to our next item then, which is our parking study update.
I can give a quick update. I spoke to Tim Howe, our community development director, who's headed up the parking study effort, managing the consultant KOA, and Catherine Padilla Associates, who are handling the community outreach. He did indicate that in probably early next week or maybe end of next week, the website that KOA and Catherine Padilla and Associates have put together to inform the public on next steps with the study will be live, and we'll be able to link to it from the city's front page when you go to our city website. So you'd be able to click there to the parking study website, put in questions that you have, and that's where the consultants will also be able to update the community where we stand. And then the other thing that he let me know was that they probably would be beginning doing some of the data collection for the study, possibly in January or in February. So the parking study data collection will actually begin fairly soon in the next couple of months. So he had just asked me to inform the group on that. I knew we had this item tonight. I just wanted to be able to give that information out. And again, I think that the key thing of communicating with everybody and keeping them informed will be that that website that KOA and Catherine Padilla and Associates are putting together to keep everybody informed.
Once that website goes live, what efforts will be made to make the public aware of it? Because I don't think the public is necessarily checking in on the city website on a regular basis.
Yeah, I can ask our city manager's assistant who handles all of that, outreach and informing push notifications through social media and stuff like that to inform the public about that. So that would be the first way we would go about letting everybody know. Start going to the city's website. This is how you'll be informed about it. So as well as I could ask Catherine Padilla through the outreach they've done so far, making sure they let know anybody who has shown interest in the study, informing them and sending them those links as well. So we'll start off that way in terms of getting the word out.
All right, that sounds great. Thank you so much. Any other questions about that, commissioners? And Commissioner Aikman, you have a list of people who had wanted specifically to give feedback, right? So once we have that website, they will be able to give feedback on there. So
Absolutely.
emails and stuff or phone numbers?
Yeah, local friends.
Do you have contact information to send all of them the website and everything too? Fantastic. I look forward to seeing what feedback they get. It's going to be exciting to see. All right, let's move on to our next item, which is commission communication. Let's start with Commissioner Arizon. Any communication?
I just wanted to reiterate from a couple of meetings ago that we had about the trash cans being used as a marker to claim your parking in the various streets, at least around where I live, 3-4 streets around where I usually travel. I see that they put out the trash cans, they spread them out throughout maybe a parking or a stall or two, and leaving in between 2-3 feet away from each other, and they leave them there up to a week at a time, and only on the weekends are when they put them up, I guess, or when the street sweeper comes by is when they pick them up and move them. Is there any type of enforcement from either the city or the traffic enforcement that can do something about that, because like I said before, there's some people that work late, come when it's dark, and then they park their cars where there's poor lighting, and then in their way to their home, they can get hurt by who knows who in the area. Has that been brought up yet at the ad hoc for the parking?
I think
Yes, that has been brought up.
yeah, I think we can't actually like fully discuss it, but I think that would be something for us to be sure to agendize when we are getting the feedback, which it sounds like will be like March, right?
There hasn't been any feedback since the meeting.
Right, but now because they're going to go and actually like do the observations and gather the data, and then they're going to get the public thing. So then I think the next update we'll get is probably March.
Yeah, I believe the.
And I'll
I
let you know in the
believe website
meantime
will
if I hear from them.
be updated.
And then Commissioner Trujillo.
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving, and thank everybody that it's been such a privilege to be on this commission. I don't know if I'll be back, but hey, I did want to mention though, I was really saddened to find out about the shooting that took place of the young man over at the San Fernando laundromat. You know, I just, you know, I just really taken back because I keep my pulse on what's happening with our young people. You know, having experience working in the GRID gang intervention through the mayor's office out of LA, and working now with the youth diversion county program with Mission Police Station. I just really, I'm really lost for words for the mere fact that, you know, these senseless killings. And I do gotta say is, thank God for a little bit more light. You know, I see the improvements that are happening on Glen Oaks, and hopefully somehow it acts also as a deterrent, you know, with more lighting and, you know, just more people around and whatnot, then hopefully it'll change things up. Unfortunately, I was also a part of the trying to raise funds for the young man that was killed over on Glen Oaks and Polk after the Dodgers celebration, who happened to be a student over at Learn for Life, had just re-enrolled in college. And, you know, I always think in terms of as a safety commission. Years ago, I think, I can't remember our former chief, his name slips my mind right now, but I remember at one time we were having talks of just somehow just trying to add another layer of safety awareness, just of these kind of things. You know, one of the things that the Commission for Educational Commission did was that they brought the principals together from the surrounding schools, and I had the opportunity to speak to the principals, those that did attend, and just to bring the awareness that as a commission, safety commission, transportation and safety, was that we were concerned about our young people not only getting to school, but getting home safely, and not have to face, you know, situations like our youngster out of Bond Street. And Chair, you probably know who I'm talking about, the youngster over on Vaughn and Glen Oaks, riding a bike home, to school. I'm sorry, riding a bike to school. And so, anyways, I just wanted to, you know, I hate to say this, that, you know, just to bring up such a maybe unfortunate, morbid situation, but the reality is that that's what we're about, is that, you know, trying to improve, just trying to help situations when we're made aware of it. And I couldn't help to think about the couple, the older couple that lost their life over on Workman and San Fernando Road. And I'm not familiar with all the circumstances that took place. I don't know what happened in that situation. I never seen the report of what actually took place. But even as we were talking about the crosswalk that was on the agenda, and I couldn't help to think that just a block down, the next street light down, one street over on San Fernando Road, that unfortunately you had some senior citizens that lived for years in their late 60s, maybe 70s, to tragically lose their life. You know, just crossing the street. You know, I just wanted to say that I can't help but to think about all those things, that as a commissioner, as being a part of the city, you know, I love this city. I love being a part of this small community and just trying to be a part of it in any way I can, you know, offer whatever services or anything I can do. But, you know, in the post Thanksgiving time, I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I'm so happy to see everybody on here safe, and so good to see Sergeant Gary. I'll mess you all up, you know, your rank and all that, but it was so good to see you again, to all the commissioners. That's it. I mean, I know I'm taking a lot of time, but thank you all.
Thank you, Commissioner Trujillo. Yes, the student you mentioned is actually a student of mine. Commissioner Aikman?
Yes, I think a couple of months ago, the police had an operation regarding the crosswalks where they had police officers standing by and watching while a police officer would cross the street, and which cars pull over the cars that didn't stop. Did we ever get a report back on that as to how successful that was? I haven't heard anything since. It's been about 3 months or so. Nothing?
Yeah, I can that briefly, Commissioner Aikman. That was just a one-day detail that was funded by those same grant monies from OTS. We typically do things like that on grants because of the resources that it takes, and being that the police department, like every, I think, city department, is short-staffed. We can't do that as a regular, as much as we would like to. I can get you the actual statistics of the drivers that were cited and the number of stops that we made. All of that's recorded. I apologize, I don't have that in front of me, but I can certainly have that for the commission if you'd like to see those results from that. I think it was a 4-hour detail.
I think we all would like to hear about it because apparently crosswalks come up a lot in this commission and the things we look at. Anyway, I would love to wish all of you, every one of you, a warm and healthy, especially healthy Christmas and New Year's. And I'm looking forward to starting off a new year and letting 2020 go into history. And I hope to see all of you back again in January. And I hope to see some of you through the Christmas season.
Thank you. Vice Chair Tolentino?
Yes, I would like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. Hopefully everybody stays safe. I hope you guys enjoyed your Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah. I had just wanted to first thank our police department for the work that you are doing while being short-staffed, as well as our city employees. I did get the update that City Hall has gone back to its strictest level of closure. And I know that that is a lot of pressure on you all. And I just want you to know that we do appreciate it very much. In regards to Commissioner Trujillo's comment tonight, I will make the motion that we adjourn in memory of that young man who I believe his name is, I looked up the news story on it. I believe his name is Anthony Espinoza. So if we could adjourn tonight in his memory when we adjourn, we can't adjourn yet, but I will make that motion and I appreciate that sentiment. Other than that, I have nothing except for that it's been a pleasure. And as this being our last meeting of 2020, this is certainly not how we expected this to go. But it has been such a pleasure to stick with you all through it. So especially thank you so much to our city employees who have been so fantastic. And I'm hoping that in 2021 also, it's been a while since we've had a report on the traffic incidents. And I don't think there's been any traffic casualties in the city, but we used to get those reports with the maps and they were color coded and they had little boxes and X's on them.
It came with the neighborhood watch, and they started there. And
yeah, it's been a while since we got one, so hopefully we can get one after the first of the year and just sort of take a look at that and see how we're doing. So all right, that's all I have. So moving on to staff communication, I see we have a project update on our beautiful Glen Oaks resurfacing that feels so wonderful.
Yes, so they've been working along, trying to do the final touches to the project. Over the last month, they've installed the concrete medians along Glen Oaks. This month, we're going to be working on activating the traffic signals, installing traffic loops, and striping the street and adding signage along Glen Oaks. So hopefully by the end of the year, end of the month, the project will be complete.
Right, it's been done with very minimal disruption too. It's been wonderful. So nice, so smooth. Any other staff communications?
I don't have any right now, no.
All right, then with that, I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn this meeting in the memory of Anthony Espinoza and all other victims of senseless violence. Can I get a second?
second that motion.
I think that was Commissioner Aikman.
That's Commissioner Aikman.
Thank you. So I looked over at the time and then can catch who it was. All right, so, oh yeah, we have to vote on adjourning now.
Chair Moore,
Yes.
Vice Chair Tolentino,
Yes.
Commissioner Aikman,
Yes.
Commissioner Arizon,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Yes.
And with that, this meeting of the Transportation Safety Commission is adjourned at 7:55 p.m. You all have
right.
a wonderful Christmas and a wonderful 2020.
Merry Christmas,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Same to everybody and Merry Christmas.